Welcome to My ArundelBiz Podcast, powered by Anne Arundel Economic Development Corporation.
A podcast that celebrates the businesses and business owners throughout Anne Arundel County.
Hello and welcome to another award-winning episode of My ArundelBiz Podcast, powered by Anne Arundel Economic Development Corporation. I am Grayson Orfe, half of the award-winning duo.
And I am Steve Adams, the other counterpart of that duo of this award-winning, now we've said it 3 times, podcast. Obviously, we're very proud of that. So we're also happy to kick things off today with our third Vault Fund Series guest of 2023, our 10th anniversary of managing the fund. And also, FYI, the recipients of our 73rd Vault Fund loan. So you guys are kind of right in the middle point because we're up to, I think, around 165 right now. Kelsey and Stephanie Gary, President and Vice President of KG Truck and Auto right here in Glen, Burnie. So Kelsey and Stephanie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having us on the award-winning podcast.
Thank you. 4 times. 4 times.
Got to get that in there.
It's a drinking game. Coffee game. Drinking coffee game. All right. So to kick things off, if you guys could just tell us, some of your background, how you started the business, and what type of services you were offering at first, and obviously how you met as well. All that stuff.
Yeah, that's the story there. Huh? Do we have enough time for all that?
Whatever part you want to start with.
So I started at a local dealership. I got all my technical background as a mechanic there. Did all the schooling through Ford Motor Company, and was there for about 15 years. And then kind of sopped up all that knowledge there. Was just ready to move on. It's kind of getting ambitions, Yeah. Mm-hmm. And went to work on building trucks. That was really neat, That was a lot of fabrication, engineering, and we would chop up the rears, add them, frames, put cabs on, and just really customize trucks for like the work trucks, the big tractor trailers, and customizing the customer's needs. So then it was a travel where I was going. So I had my first kid, and that gave me an ambition to start on my own, and all my side work became work.
Yeah, nothing will give you hustle like having that first kid.
Yeah.
It's just like,
life
is real now.
It was 23 hours a day at work, and then when I wasn't working, it was 24 hours a day as a father.
Right,
so
right.
It wasn't no time for it, kept me out of trouble.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that started all by myself in a single bay shop, just one bay. Did that for about a year. Started just finding help from local people that I knew, trying to just make ends meet and just working on anything and everything at that point. So I was there for about a year, and then went to a 4-bay shop, about four or 5 stalls.
Okay.
And started renting that facility, and I met Stephanie about a year in.
Okay.
And then that's when things really kicked off. She was a secret weapon.
Yeah.
So kind of just went through the processes and growing from there, just learning as you go. I didn't really have any like teachings, and the guy I was renting from was kind of like a business mentor.
Yeah.
And that kind of got me started on the business stuff, but I was really just the grind, man. It was just working, and then when I wasn't working, I was just trying to be a father and being involved and do what I think you're supposed to do to be a good guy,
Yeah.
So I was doing that between home and work, and then Stephanie came on, and she brought a lot to the table. So we were working on everything at that point, and it just kept going more and more. And I'll let her fill you in on that side.
That was a very interesting time period. So my background is DoD contracting and government enterprise sales. And then before that, I was a stay-at-home mom for over 10 years, homeschooling. And during that time, I had started and left a career in sports medicine. So lots of weird different backgrounds. Nothing to do with automotive. But at the time that we had met, I was working for a wireless company in the government space, offering different solutions. But long story short, I'm a transplant from Rockville, really. And so Montgomery County. So long story short, he was one of my clients, or potentially one of the clients, but he grew up in this area and was very familiar with all the clients, business owners, and I was not from this area. But what I did know how to do was bring business to the table. So when we had met, we had conversations about, you know, growing the company, different things like that. And I said, well, I don't know anyone in this area. You do. I'll teach you how to run meetings. Write me a list of all the companies that you want. And I know that I can also equally approach them for the business of what I'm looking for to pursue. So it was like parallel industries, still in the transportation industry, but we were just attacking it from different sides of it. So after a year of that, of pretty much kind of working as dual agent, I guess you could say, it got to the point where he was like, I need help managing the business being brought in. I was like, well, I'm looking for a better work-life balance. So, and that's kind of how that partnership was born from there. So when I started, again, zero background in automotive, I knew as much as oil change and brakes, and even then, I didn't really know what that meant.
Right.
So when I started, his dad was working with him. His dad stayed long enough, all of 3 months. I had baptism by fire training, a cardboard box that I actually still have with written numbers of all the parts vendors they would call.
Oh, wow.
And that was it. And so I really relied on the parts vendors kind of walking me and teaching me through stuff. So then I got really frustrated with not knowing. And so that's when I started taking like night classes, online classes. I would talk to the parts vendors, hey, do you have any like classes I can go to learn some of this stuff? So that's kind of how it evolved. So then eventually I got different certifications in mechanics, fleet management, all kinds of stuff. I know it now really well, but it was taking, like when he talks about that grind, I mean, we were just in the grind, not only building the business from scratch, but it really was the relationships from the parts vendors had a lot to do with me even growing individually in automotive and trucking industry, being able to see him and how he led his team and learning from the technicians in the shop, but then also taking the classes to be able to put the education behind what I was seeing, learning kind of like OJT, on the job training, right?
Yep.
So that all evolved, and over the years, when you talk about what services we had and what we didn't have at the time versus what we have now, honestly, it was never like a plan like we're going to go after this. It honestly came from grassroots efforts, one conference table at a time, sitting with a meeting with either a company that had over 500 vehicles to a guy who just had one vehicle, to a mom who was just looking to pass this vehicle on to their son or daughter and wondering if this is a good purchase, is this safe? So everything that they would say that was a problem or concern or an issue that they encountered in the industry or being taken advantage of, or lack of communication or lack of transparency, that's how we evolved our services, was really tuning in and actively listening to the client's needs. And it's like, okay, I don't have that certification yet. Give me a month and I'll get it. And we'll have
Build
this.
it
And
as
it
you
literally
go.
was that. And then it evolved into on-site maintenance. It evolved to fleet management. It evolved to a very consultative approach, where now our service concierge are more than likely known as service writers in our industry. But we call it service concierge because it really is like, shameless plug, Black American Express, in a sense where it's just, they're at your call, but it really is a white glove service with the education and leveraging the knowledge of what we're doing so that they can make an informed decision. So what we had then was, I would say, you brought your vehicle and we repaired it and we were really fun and had a great relationship to talk to. What we've evolved to are really business consultants outside of the repair side, because we are really integrated in the genetic makeup of every company, client, customer that we have, whether they're fleet or non-fleet. And that came truly out of active listening from just clients.
So I think that's awesome, because I think one of the things that I think even, the viewers will understand is that the common theme of this show is the fact that when people build business, it's kind of like raising children. And literally, like, you guys have kind of started at the bottom. Now you're here.
Yep.
No.
If you know, you know.
But it's just, it's you started and you built as you went.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it was just a constant building. It was a constant pulling this, pulling that. I don't know that. Okay, let me go figure this out. And so it makes you more vested into the experience. You know, it makes you care more. And so now that you care more, that bleeds on to your customers. And so now your customers see that you care because you're like, okay, I understand all this. You're coming in with your car and this is your main way to get to work. This is almost your lifeline, really. So you care enough to be able to actually put in that effort to make sure that they're up and running and going. I think that's a great thing. But take me back to 2018, and you guys were trying to look for a bigger place. What was that like?
That was interesting.
So we outgrew the rental place after 2 years. We were there for 4, so we kind of the ambitions were always to own our place.
Mm-hmm.
So we were kind of just the grind that we talk about, man. It's just kind of go gray for a while because you're just working 20-some hours a day, you know, taking turns on who's staying late, who's taking care of the kids.
Yeah.
And then it's all about location. So we kind of were like soft looking and looking for pricing and this and that. We found a couple good deals, but it was farther away. And some business mentors were like, it's all about, no offense, Kelsey, but if you go down there, I'm not going there. You know what I mean? It's about location.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And right across the street was a vacant property, and we're like, I saw it and I was like, oh man, that's scary looking. You know, we can't do nothing with that. And a really close friend of mine was like, Kelsey, no matter what place you guys buy, we're gonna gut it anyways. You know, you're gonna make it your own. You own it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, and then he was like, if you don't buy it, I'm buying it. I was like, oh, all right, I'll go buy it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we went and looked at it, and then Stephanie was doing her networking thing and making relationships, and somehow we found an opportunity with you guys.
Yeah, we call it actually, so you guys don't know, the Vault Fund is what I had dubbed, which got coined as the unicorn loan.
Oh.
So if you don't know, that's
great
another
to
thing
hear.
you should add to your award-winning podcast.
Yeah.
It was the unicorn loan. And I say that because from the time that we decided to purchase a property, that came born out of, we were having to tell enough clients, no, we need the space. Once we turn this vehicle around in like a day or two, we will be able to schedule in. And it was because of the spacing. Like it wasn't because we didn't have enough technicians or they weren't skilled.
They
it
thought
was
we were
truly
too busy.
the space.
Because
we
of the
didn't have the
property.
space.
They thought we were too busy.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I can take you. Like, oh, well, we can't find a place to park. You know what I mean? So we
Yeah.
were outgrown so much.
We definitely outgrew it in 2
and
years.
it's all the process of getting stuff in and out. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, we can work on that and at least get started on it today. You're like, oh, well, it doesn't look like it.
Yeah.
Right.
So
You
it
know?
was enough times of saying no to people that it was frustrating. We're like, we got to do something
the
about
time.
this. So then we had built a really strong relationship with a new accountant. He applied a lot of, and that came another level of growth because then we started understanding strategy behind planning in the financial space, right? He was always really good at managing, money management, making decisions, but this was on a whole nother level because you're planning, you're setting strategy essentially to something that will become an investment, but it's for a greater good that you don't see right now, but it's something that you see 5 years down the road, right? So there is a whole lot of moving parts and strategies, and that meant that we were now committed to a plan, and a plan that we had to actively work together as individuals, professionally, personally, and we were just committed to that grind. So over that time, one of our really good friends, who's also like a business mentor in a lot of ways, saw the vision basically, and we're like, okay, we trust you.
Along for the ride.
Yes, and so when we started developing it, as we were interviewing different banks. Again, going through this process, and I'm sitting here like speaking to all these different banks and vice president, and all the titles were scary. Me with no college degree, still, it was very scary. But being able to have to sell and your business, where you're literally fighting for your lifeline to make a dream come true, that was such a learning growth process that I'll never forget. And someone told me, once you reach a level of success, the way you have to grind going forward will be different because you're working smarter, not harder. But I always say to kids now, when they're in that grind, like the grit, you're putting in the time, the hours, you're failing, you're getting up and you're doing it over again, enjoy it because you don't see it in that moment. You'll never have to grind that same way. And what you learn in that moment, what it molds you into, you will never do that again, because now you'll know to do it differently. So that was kind of that moment for us. And so I remember speaking to one person that is our current banker now, and I said to him, listen, I'm interviewing. I walked it like we owned it. Like I knew what I was talking about. Nope. Truth be told, but I walked in there with such a confidence. Like, listen, this is our plan. Here's a strategy. Here's the numbers. Here's what we're willing to do, and this is what we're trying to make it by. But this is what we need. I don't know how we're going to find it or what you have in your arsenal to find this. I said, but it's almost like we need something that's a unicorn loan. I said, because we are a unicorn business. I said, there's no one in this industry that's doing what we're doing, from both heavy tractor trailers, Class 8, all the way to light duty and heavy specialty equipment, and we're looking to grow into on-site. So there were so many different facets of our business. I said, we're not a one-size-fits-all loan.
Right.
And he paused, and he's like, okay. He said, I heard in like some conversation or like a webinar about something Volt. He's like, I don't know a whole lot about it. He's like, let me research it.
Nice.
So whatever led him to be part of some way that he had heard about it, had no experience himself. And this is a very elite gentleman, well accomplished in his career, didn't know this.
Steve, it worked.
Yes, it worked. So then he comes back, I kid you not, a day later, he's like, I found the unicorn. And that's what I kept telling him. So we were using this terminology, the unicorn loan.
Right.
And so when he set up the meeting, got the information, and when we had gotten the information for this, I'm like, that's it. That was like the missing piece. And so everything from our business model, our process, to the loan, to everything else, everything has been its own trend. We're carving out our own lane. If you're saying this is the boundary, we just push it over and like, all right, well, we're going to create this. So for us, it's about pushing the boundaries, but about really reinventing the way people experience the automotive and trucking industry, because you do get taken advantage of, and we have those horror stories that come in, and the people that are kind of like, shy away from that kind of stuff. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I know that all, makes a lot of sense now, because you guys on our long list of Volt Fund loans, you kind of stuck out because you're a unique case that also the Volt Fund loan came with an ACR loan, our Arundel Community Reinvestment Fund loan.
Too good to be true.
So I guess, and then also probably some portion of just traditional bank loan there. So I guess you spoke to it somewhat already, but what made the Volt and ACR an attractive option at the time when you were looking to get the new property?
So coming from nothing, we're trying to pay as we go, and we were barely enough able to save up just for the down payment for the bank loan. So this helped us get set up, revamped, and we were able to do all that before we moved in.
Right.
So we literally moved everything with purchasing new equipment and getting the place outfitted and everything in one weekend.
Oh, wow.
So we never had to shut down.
Yeah.
So like I said, when they were sitting down like, this is a unicorn thing, I'm like, is this scary? Should I not be doing this? And everybody's like, man, how did you find out about this?
Yeah, what's the cat? Yep, the
And
fine
I pointed
print.
at her and my banker, and I'm like, man, they did this. This is good. All right, we're good. You know what I mean? So it was really, we were able to hit the ground running instantly. It cost us a weekend, and that was it.
Right.
So we were able to keep doing business as is, and then start growing. Because we just packed everything in so tight at the old place. So when we got to the new place, we were able to breathe a little bit, and really focus on that.
Start saying yes to some of those.
Yeah,
no's.
we went from a
everybody,
team of
Yeah.
6 or 7 people, including us, to a team of 20 within a
Oh,
month.
wow.
I mean,
Jeez.
you talk about change and pivoting and
Yeah.
being able to just roll with it on the fly. I mean, that was it. What it did is it allowed us to have kind of the edge taken off and feel supported, and to
Focus
really
on the business.
understand the purpose for the loan in the community from a workforce perspective, which is where we're at now in our career, and what we've evolved to is forming an accredited apprenticeship program. And now having the experience and years under our belt, being able to understand what the AAEDC does in terms of the loans and how it helps the community, being able to see the seeds that it allows other members as us, being able to have a business in this community and what it's there to help leverage that support and therefore, have growth happen from that. That has been really unique to experience it, but then now be able to be an advocate for it, and also inform other owners who are going into business, like, hey, there's a unicorn out there that you don't know about.
You all need to know about this.
So how was it applying for it? Like, how was that process?
My accountant did a lot, so he's on the hand of the five. So we're really close. So he kind of tell me where to sign and educate me on what's going on, because I was focusing on the business.
Sure.
So this is all a little more newer to me. So from my experience, it's easy. It's just filling out the normal paperwork. You know what I mean? And if you have a good accountant, it's a couple of the numbers game with the yearly revenue.
So now that you had it, I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's very simple. Well, my experience,
So now that you have the fund and you have the funds, what did you use it for? Like what?
Yeah, I guess
what
you
were
said.
certain things?
So you basically had to gut this
place.
building?
So it was scary to me. It was vacant for a long time, so
Right.
it was overgrowth and it just needed to be outfitted. So we used the funding just for everything. Yeah, it was just a shell. So we were, instead of demoing the building and everything, we just revamped the whole thing inside and out, and then we're able to use some for equipment as well. So that's why we were able to move in one weekend, because we didn't have to move the equipment. We had all new equipment.
Yeah.
It's just state of the art. We just had to move our tools and stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
So we used the funding for all of that.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why I asked that question was because you guys have a video on your website. It's a commercial, and you can actually see, really what their shop looks like. You kind of see like the interior and all of that, and it's amazing.
Those who are watching on Facebook or YouTube rather than just listening are probably watching it right now.
Right. Because it's when you see what it was before to what it is now, it's amazing. It really is amazing. So it's so funny. The one thing I was telling you guys, I was missing your dog.
Bubby.
We wanted him here because he really is the superstar of the video.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Pretty
Employee
much.
number one.
Employee number one.
Face of the company.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. That's awesome. So I'll let you.
Well, yeah, just on the subject of that awesome video, I know there's a lot that we learned from it in terms of services and all your employees and everything. And also, Stephanie, you just talked about that growth in job creation, which is awesome to hear, because that's exactly what AAEDC as a whole and the Volt Fund specifically aim to do.
You want to say what we actually do and
Yeah,
what we got going on?
That's what I was.
Our website where they can find all this.
How much
at?
time do we have?
Yeah.
No, it's just what this industry has taken us to and what it's provided us, and also not just us, but the platform that it's given us to help others. I'm a firm believer in pay it forward, and so is my husband. The core of how we operate, you make people the center of what you do and your why, and that's where it's at. And it really is. So it's about paying it forward. So I know throughout my career, which really didn't start until 29, to be quite honest with you, for me, I had a lot of really great men and women that were mentors that wanted for nothing, didn't need of me for anything, but really took it upon themselves to kind of pay it forward and really kind of show me the ropes and teach me and hold me accountable and hold a mirror to me and let me know, call me out on my BS when it was.
Right.
And so it was such an amazing journey that now what our industry has allowed us to evolve to is really not only to be leaders of it in the way that we're reinventing the way people experience it, being part of the genetic makeup of every company or person that we're doing business with. And I mean that from the sense of we're helping them make financial decisions as to what vehicles to get rid of, what to purchase, help bridge communication with the internal team. So there is a lot of, that's why I say it's almost to the extent of really business coaching a lot of times with businesses. So what that's transpired to is, when we speak of the pandemic, man, that was a game changer for everybody, right? And you either had two choices. You were going to sink or swim.
Yeah.
And so during that time, I remember getting a download of information, both from your community, from just different sources about all the resources that were out there. And it was overwhelming. It was overwhelming for everybody. But I knew that at the end of the day, if we weren't doing something to support the community that we were doing business with, we were going to have nobody to do business with at the end of it. So it wasn't just about our success alone. It was also getting everybody to be successful out of it too. So we kind of started like this informal newsletter where we were sending out like information, like here's a link to this, here's a new form for this. So when we started that and I started seeing the reactions of the clients and close friends and colleagues, I'm like, oh, this is valuable. So outside of just having this platform, being able to be a resource and create this network that people can utilize, we also become invaluable. You know, that means that we're also leveraging a real help where it's needed, right? So starting to see that, we pivoted into so many different directions, and I'm so grateful to the core team that we have present today, because there was no way we would have gotten through what we went through without such an incredible team. But it was eye-opening for us to be able to take a step back, because remember, we went in guns a-blazing, never closed down for business, we just kept going. So what ended up happening from that is we started deconstructing everything as far as procedures in our company, reinventing how our approach was, communication, leadership, internal organization, restructuring as far as career development. And that's where we are today. So we worked on it first internally, where then we started to see the deficits, because we also came across lots of experience where we lost some incredible technicians as far as apprentices, either lost them for $1 more somewhere else, or where I can honestly say we failed them because we didn't have a great onboarding process, and openly admitted that, and be able to take that experience and say, okay, we've definitely failed enough where we need to slow down. And if we want to start seeing change in the industry where they're saying, oh, the great resignation. Well, the great resignation, throwing more money at it, that's one solution. It's one approach, right? But I also think it takes a lot of courage, a lot of gut and grit to be able to look at your own organization internally and saying, what are we not getting right? What about our organizational structure, career development, training, programs do we have or not have? What is not working with people? And being able to ask your own team for honest feedback. So the one-on-ones wasn't just happening for our teammates. They were also doing it with us. Like they were doing those reviews on us.
And that's always important, just to have that very transparent work experience, so that, because once you guys grow, they grow as well, because you're growing your entire environment. And so everybody now is feeling like they're a part of it instead of just coming into work and doing a job.
There was a lot of buy-in after that. So what it's evolved to now, which we are actually working on different sectors of the EDC and workforce development in Anne Arundel County Community College. We are working to currently building an accredited apprenticeship program. So it's being able to take what we've learned. We have some of the best mentors in the industry, hired a full-time instructor, being able to build a curriculum from scratch, and we're adding in soft skills, so they will need to know and learn money management, how to advocate for themselves, how to ask for a raise, a level of professionalism.
That's
They will
awesome.
know how to work the ladder, where we
is
have
great.
everything labeled, where it's clear as day. If you want to make this money, here are the certifications, here's the title, here's what your roadmap to get there. So creating transparency in this industry is something that is not talked about, isn't a standard, and I want to be able to bring a level of professionalism that you would expect in the corporate world, but also have it in this industry, because it is looked down, it is frowned upon. And I think during the pandemic, a lot of people realized how vital this industry was, to the point where then the community, including you guys, started pouring in a lot of resources for employers such as ourselves to upskill our workforce and our current team. So
That's all. And as some of our loyal viewers and listeners know, it was only a couple months ago we published an episode with Cheney Enterprises.
Yes.
And they did
Very familiar with
one
them.
of their big news pieces from 2022. It was their 60th anniversary, but also they launched, I think, the first statewide apprenticeship program, and they worked with our team and Department of Commerce as well. So it's, to your point, it's definitely an important thing to kind of get get the buy-in from your workers and kind of keep giving them professional development opportunities. So,
So to kind of wrap up, because I guess I swear we can talk
go
all
on
day.
forever.
Right? We can talk all
got
day.
so
we
long.
much
talked
more.
about the model cars.
Yeah. Oh man.
These are gifts. They're actually building us real size models of these cars.
That's how you get. That's how you get on the award-winning podcast.
The prototype.
Gifts. No. So you guys have a marriage, a family. You know, you guys are working together. You're building a corporation. You have everything going on, right? I know it's important to have that work-life balance. So I know that you guys, you're an Anne Arundel County company. You're from Montgomery. So you know Montgomery, but you don't know. Well, you probably know a little bit of Anne Arundel now. What are some of the places that you guys go to kind of let your hair down, relax, you know, have that time to yourself, you know?
We're big foodies.
Good.
Foodies and outdoors. So we'll
Yeah.
go to some of the parks, and then we'll sneak in. If we're hungry, we'll chalk it up. This is a dinner date. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's do this 15 minutes before we go home. This is a dinner date. You know, so some of the places, man, we go all over. What's one of our favorites?
Which
She
one
usually-
isn't? I mean,
I
because
know.
I call it, I'm lunch lady,
You can-
so I'm
you can-
responsible for
Yeah,
lunch.
yeah.
Name drop as many as you can think of.
So I can't honestly, I can't remember
It's
the
one of those
name,
things
but
you
there
put
is
on the
a
spot, you're
Thai
like, oh,
place.
man.
Yeah.
There's a Thai place actually right down the street from here. It's across from a Faux Saigon or something, I think is what it's called.
Oh, okay.
They closed for
Yes.
a while, and I was so sad. But then they reopened again, and I honestly can't remember the name. But that is one of my favorite places to go to for food. And then Aviation Deli, Willie's Kitchen,
Roy's Quick Corner.
Roy's Quick
Yep.
Corner.
It's been
They're
around forever.
amazing. They're
Yeah.
amazing. So I don't know. It's a lot of different places. I mean, we're big foodies. It could be something like if we're running short of time, McDonald's. I know it's, you know,
Hey.
but it's
They're
what
always
works
there.
sometimes.
Right.
Yep.
Down to leftovers from the next day.
Yes.
But no, we really do try to support local businesses as well, because we're one of them, and keeping the money here in your backyard in
Yes.
this county is also very important to us. But honestly, if there's food, we're going.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
That sounds good. Yeah. And I guess for one of my last ones, if you've already covered a lot of it, but if you could just give a few of your top tips for whether it's an aspiring entrepreneur that hasn't even started a business or someone that's at the stage you guys are at, and maybe including when it might be time to actually think about a loan, like you were at that point when looking for the property.
So my advice would be, just realize it's going to be the grind. Just be ready to work. You know, because nothing comes easy. Everybody would do it if it was easy.
Yeah.
That's one thing you got to accept, is be ready to work and find some sort of balance.
Right.
All right. Probably in the beginning more work than life, but make sure you have something in there to keep your sanity. Depending on your ambitions and your goals, you always got to have. I use my accountant and Stephanie. We get together and we do that for what we want to do, and that's a big part of how much you want, you know what I mean?
Right.
And planning. The other thing is planning. And things don't always stick to the plan, you know, but at least have goals and paths, you know what I mean? You might go this way, that way, and it's okay to change. But really, if you know you're working and you believe something's there and you truly believe what you're doing's working and you surround yourself with the right people, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Is surround yourself with the right people, and that could mean different things to different people. It's just a positive environment and people that are just smarter than you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just learn, be open, and be ready to make mistakes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just learn from your mistakes, and just get up and keep going, and lead by example. It's simple. It's really simple. It's just hard. Lead by example. Be ready to work. Surround yourself with the right people. And people preach this, but it's when and you don't realize it till you look back and you're like, man, that's a lot of what it is.
Yeah.
They
You know?
say is true.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you're looking for, it's always best in my mind to purchase property. You know what I mean?
Sure. Sure.
So that's when the loans start coming in. So you need
Yep.
you always got to get started somewhere, and I get it. You know what I mean? You might have to cut corners or do whatever you got to do to get started, but purchasing is the way to go, and that's when loans. But then if you rent a place, and depending on the industry, if you got some really serious equipment, and you're only as good as your people, and you're only as good as your equipment. It's what you can't do, it restricts you, or
Right.
it's working harder, not smarter.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And that's another thing to think about is when you're making your investments.
Yeah.
And a good accountant will be able
Yes.
to teach the people that don't know much about it, you know what I mean, and
Yeah.
having that trust. So investing in your equipment, your people, and your property. That's
Yeah.
the three main things for us that means loans.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. That makes sense. That makes sense. Well, I guess to wrap up, thanks obviously for
Yeah.
joining us. It was a great discussion, and also thank you for helping us highlight Volt
Yeah.
and ACR fund loans.
It's too good to be true.
The
yeah,
unicorn
yeah,
loan.
we're gonna have to brand
The unicorn
brand
loan
that right
featured
on
on the
website.
award-winning podcast.
Yes, yeah, we got all these great buzzwords
I'm
coming out of
telling
this
you,
podcast.
Is awesome. This is awesome.
So yeah, hopefully everybody out there will see those words up on our communications.
Yeah.
And if you guys could remind everyone where to watch the video and where else to follow you. I know you post a lot of great content on the workforce outreach that you do on
It's
all your
truly our
social
passion,
channels.
yeah.
So yeah, if you could just remind everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Stephanie's passion is that. So you gotta give her
YouTube,
credit.
Facebook, Instagram, all the social medias that are out there. I don't really keep up too much with Twitter like I should, so maybe not follow that one. But all the general ones, you can catch us there. A lot of what we display is really just the current work that we're doing, really boots
Right.
on the ground,
It's real.
grassroots efforts.
It's all real.
Yeah.
You come there, you ask any questions. We're
Yeah.
real.
Well, picture's worth 1,000 words,
Yeah.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. And just a reminder, everyone out there, you can watch this podcast and any of our past podcasts. That'd be an award win. I think, yes, award-winning
Yes,
podcast.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Those
Yeah.
episodes, you can watch them on Facebook and YouTube. And you can also be sure to see them promoted on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. And as a reminder, we're also now on Amazon for those listeners. We're listed on Amazon. So,
We're going places.
yeah.
We're going places.
Going up, up, up. That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
So thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Thanks for having us.